Welcome. This is the Bitcoin Design Guide Jam session number 58. We don't have a lot of given topics on the list today, like topics that were submitted beforehand. I put a couple of them on the Google Doc that I just shared here in the chat. I can pull them up here in my background. Make myself a little bit smaller. Yeah, maybe we can just kick it off by gathering more topics to discuss. I have a very big one that I wanted to talk about last time as well, but we didn't have time. So one of them, small things that are going on. Foundation links were pushed live because we announced the foundation last week, so that needs to be referenced on the website. Then I have an open PR for manual backups, header image, and then the guide in 2024, which is just a big topic that we don't have to resolve today or come up with all the ideas. I just want to start that conversation going, and then over days, weeks, anyone can chime in calls, outside of calls, and we can kind of figure out what's in everyone's minds there. What other topics do you have that you would like to discuss?
I only have a small update about the reference design for these flexible or custom spending conditions. So the design is basically done. There's one screen missing, and then I can update the PR accordingly. I had to revisit a couple of things and get into more details. So something reviewable coming soonish.
Awesome,
Tomorrow.
cool. So are you planning to have like release the whole thing in a pretty complete state, or do you still want to feel like it's early on, you want to iterate over time, or how do you want to go about it?
So I'd probably take the PR out of draft mode first, and I'll kind of open it up for comments.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel it's relatively complete. I wouldn't, yeah. I mean, just like with the how it works section, I think it's in a state where it should be kind of relatively stable.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, maybe just try to, because it's going to be, there's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of screens, a lot of details that might be maybe too big to include. So probably just trying to trim it down maybe a little bit. Kind of these kinds of feedbacks.
Mm-hmm. Is it a super long page then?
No. But there's a lot of kind of mock-ups and designs associated, and there are also for instance, what I left out a little bit is kind of these edge cases. So I'm kind of working along a default path in the flowchart or in the flows, and yeah, but it takes a lot of, it's a huge step or a huge process, because you have to create a kind of your default multi-sig wallet for which we have reference design. So I'm kind of leaning on that. I didn't reinvent the wheel there, just kind of focusing on what's coming after, how to refresh time locks. I mean, it's gonna be a larger page anyway, but I'm trying to keep it still as kind of minimal as possible. But yeah, I'm just gonna probably update the PR and then post it in the slide in Discord to see what everybody else thinks, if something is missing or if we can take something out.
Yeah, I think whenever you work on a single page, at some point you reach the limits of what a single page can hold before it just turns into chaos and becomes unorderly. So it makes sense. And you can always try to have a more compact first page and then add sub pages or make some iterations or so once kind of the hive mind has formed around it.
Yeah, I think it's not too large, or I have the feeling that it's not going to get too large. So, but we'll see. I have to write the text first, and then then we'll see.
Okay.
Finally.
yeah, the shaping. Cool. Sounds good. So we just had a big conversation around that. I'll just tick that one off. What's going on here? Just want to select the text and make it normal, not italic. Okay, Mo, did you want to talk about the wallet scrutiny? Oh, just real quick, Michael, before we go on. So Christmas is coming up in about 5 weeks. Um, would you want to try to shoot that live before then?
Of course, yeah. That
Okay.
would be the goal. Yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
Okay, cool. And cool. Mo, wallet scrutiny case study.
I just want to say hi to Jokun and Utebe as well. Thank you so much for being here. It's really
Mo,
nice.
how's it going?
Really nice. Thank you so much for taking the time and patience, jumping in, listening, learning. Thank you. Sorry, the Wallet Scrutiny case study. So it's in draft mode, and I'm needing some guidance and some advice on what the next steps are.
Okay.
I'll do a quick share screen of where it's at right now. It's in draft mode. Is my screen visible?
Yes. For me, it
Okay.
is.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It's in draft mode right now, and it includes copy images. And then I didn't know if I should ask Michael for a review before, but Michael's provided a review. I asked him for one. So
Mhm.
there's this whole, review of the copy from Michael, which I really appreciate. But I'm just needing some guidance in terms of what's the next steps on that PR.
Okay. Well, what do you think are the next steps? Would you describe the state of this content?
Okay, let me move it in, open in a new tab. Here, guess it would be good to actually look at the content. So let's go here. Okay, so I'm going to need to share this one now because I've opened it in a different browser. I love this question that Christoph asked as well. So should I share my window? Yeah, here we go. Okay. So this is what the draft PR looks like on my Google Chrome browser. Michael said that he couldn't see the images, so I'm curious. I'll have to look into that. So this is what it looks like right now. Images are being added in, content looks here. Michael's given it a read, so that means I've had one person read through the copy. It feels like at least one more person should also read through the copy and also check if the images are in their correct state that fit the design guide, or if there's any images that are not correctly sized. And then after those two steps are done, I would think that the next step is moving it from a draft PR to a normal PR. So that's my 2 cents on what I think the next steps are.
I have time. I can read it over if you'd like. But I just have a couple questions first. One is what does PR mean? You guys keep saying PR.
Public relations. No, it's a pull request. It's like a proposed addition to the website,
Okay.
and then it can be in a draft, where it basically means like the files are publicly visible for everyone, but you don't really want feedback from anyone right now. Once
I
it's
see.
not in draft anymore, then anyone on the internet can basically give input on things and review it. You're kind of opening the doors there. And then
Gotcha.
once people can, like the repository admins can then do like a formal review and approve it. And once it has enough approvals, then it can be merged into the website and go live. So that's kind of
Gotcha.
the
So it's
life
like a Git.
cycle.
You guys treat it like GitHub or something like
Yep,
that. All
exactly.
right, cool. Yeah, if you and then what is the overall like? I'll definitely look over for it. For you, are you looking for more like grammatical things, or is there any kind of what the overall objective of the case study is? Are you looking for additions to like places where you could add something to it, or just like what's there makes sense or not? Or
Yeah, I think it's more, is what there does it make sense, and do you understand it? How is it in terms of readability? Does it actually make sense to you as reader? Do you understand the process that we took to redesign the website?
Gotcha.
Is it easy for you to understand, or are there some words there that are not making sense to you as a designer?
Sure.
Yeah, I think so this is in the case study section of the design guide, and we have Blixt Wallet, which was about improving the onboarding process of a mobile app. The page join experience is about a very specific privacy-focused interaction, and this is a case study about a website redesign and information architecture update. So that might be interesting for people who also may want to know how they can go about the redesign process for their website or
So
rebranding
it was a
potentially.
redesign. It was a redesign at the heart
Redesign
of it,
and rebranding.
and rebranding. Okay.
Well, not a full blown like agency style rebranding process, more like new logo, new colors, new visuals, and yeah, a visual overhaul with some information architecture sprinkled in.
Yeah, I remember I interviewed a long time ago, Mo. You were one of the people I interviewed like a long time ago for this. So
Yes,
I haven't
100%.
I haven't looked at Wallet Scrutiny in a while, but yeah, I'd be happy. Yeah, I could do that. When do you as far as the timeline, when I can
Depending on if I have the process correctly, which I'm very curious to hear from Christoph now, but ideally by the end of the week, if you could provide a review by the end of the week, it would be great. But I'm curious if I had the idea correct in terms of what a draft PR is and when it's ready to be moved into a live PR. A draft feels like something that's a bit more temporary to me. We don't want to make it live yet, and why don't we want to make it live yet? So that's the part that I'm.
Yeah. Well, draft is you're still working on it, but for whatever reason you want to have it up there so you can show maybe one person or so. When it's not a draft anymore, it's basically open for anyone to you're inviting the open review and feedback. Yeah. So it seems like that's what you want right now. So
That's what I want. That's exactly what I want.
Yeah. And we should also ask Leo to read over it.
Oh, good one. Okay. So should I, as a next step, should I change it from draft to?
Yeah.
And how do I?
There's a button somewhere. Somewhere one of the 100 buttons on GitHub
Okay.
is the one that says remove draft status or something like that.
Okay, let's see. Let's do this live. Remove draft status. Okay. Da, 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 da.
I think you have to go to the bottom somewhere. I think it's there was this button that says
ready for review.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. And it does look like you need to update from master and resolve the conflicts in the image cache file, which is always a fun thing to do with every PR. But that can happen. We can talk about that separately
All
if
right.
you'd like.
Perfect.
So since I feel like looking at for these type of reviews, typos and stuff, it's kind of helpful, but on the other hand, it's small stuff, right? So I think if someone reads it for the first time, I think just generally, like, is this an interesting case study? Does this do a good job at explaining kind of this branding process? Do I see the before and the after and understand how it is better? Would I be able to do this myself for my project?
So how much of it is a story about Bitcoin design community helping somebody versus just like the story of Wallet Scrutiny, if that makes sense?
Oh, I love that question.
Bit of all of it.
Bit of both, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah.
A bit of both.
Yeah, I think with adding more case studies, I feel like over time it will be a good repository to help people understand. Like they can, if someone is not so design savvy, who's never gone through that, they can see like, okay, my website looks kind of like that. I can go through this type of process and then look like that. Maybe I can ask a designer to help me. Can you help me with this process or so? Just to kind of showcase that whole process and how.
So it's more of like a story of how design can help you rather than like specifically Bitcoin design community, I guess, maybe.
Yeah, I think, I think so. Of course, with the Wallet Scrutiny being a Bitcoin project and being the foundation of the content. Yep.
I think it's always nice when something comes across as a story, because you can really learn from it in that way. And if we manage to tell a good story, then that you understand, it would be nice to know if you understand that. Would you be able to take the case study and say, oh, these are the steps they followed, and now I have to redesign this website? Can I actually replicate these steps from reading this case study? Or is there like, well, I don't know, there's a couple holes in there. It would be nice to know. Yeah.
Michael, are you on? Okay.
Oh, sorry, one more. And at the end of it, there was some there is insights there, like, or what do you guys? Yeah.
Michael, you're on a Retina MacBook or something like that?
Yes.
Then I assume the image not showing up for you has to do with the Retina images not being properly set in picture.html.
Maybe I just checked. It's only the first two images. The other ones seem to work fine.
Yeah.
And I checked every browser, so Safari, Chrome, and Firefox.
Yeah.
So it's just the first two images.
I would look at the file URLs of those Retina images. Mo, you're muted.
I was writing my to-do. Check Retina images, check Retina URLs. Okay. First two images. So what I can do on my end is check the URLs and then send it again to Michael and see if they're visible for him.
Yeah, Mo, if you pull up the site on your...
You're going to have to commit the changes so that I can see them.
Yeah. And Mo, your phone is most likely Retina screen, so if you pull up the deploy preview on your phone, the images will probably also not show up. That would be my guess.
Yeah.
But who knows? Maybe it's something different. Gesundheit. Okay, cool. Wallet case scrutiny case study. Also, probably can go live in the next 1 or 2 days.
100%.
But the timing is totally up to you. But it sounds like you're happy once this goes live.
I would love it to go live by the end of this week and just get that done, because I want to work on Bitcoin Core stuff, the research. I want to work on the Bitcoin Core copy for the website, the research section.
Yep.
I just want this out of the way.
I'll make sure I do it by the end of the day today on my side.
Really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no pressure. I was just joking by talking about.
No. I have time.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, next one. Just these two links. Bitcoin Design Foundation is now linked to from the projects page here as one of the initiatives of the community. And then in the contribute section, it's now also here at the bottom, just very basic text. This can probably be pushed a lot harder, be more prominent, but at least it's there now. So that's something. It could even go on the homepage. It's somewhere and in other places. But it seems like we need to think about that. But we have something then, so that's better than nothing. Okay, then I wanted to talk about the manual backups header image PR. That's actually an image I created a long time ago, half a year ago in an issue, and then I forgot to actually put it live. So I created this pull request. It's just adding this image. The page currently does not have any header image. It's this one. Oh no, it's an outdated one that doesn't make sense anymore, because that previously used to be a sequential series of pages, but it's not really like that anymore. That's why it had to be replaced. So it's just replacing this image. So just need a review and approval on that one. That's
wow. Sorry to interrupt. So every change that gets made on the website has to go through like the commit process and approval process. Oh wow, okay.
Yep. And sometimes with small stuff with an image, it can be a little bit. It can be done pretty quickly or so. But when we're adding new pages, new reference design, larger restructurings, then we want to leave it out, give it more time, kind of point people at things, invite reviews, and you can also set up stuff like certain PRs need like 2 or 3 approvals before they can go live. You just want everyone to be
Gotcha.
aware of things. But yeah, it's a little bit tedious sometimes. It's for the better, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, same thing with the multi-wallet management page. I'm just going to pull it up real quick. So I feel like I've brought it up the last few times already. But I think this is in pretty good shape. I'm aware of some smaller stuff that might come up, but this is full on ready for review. This, I think the only thing I did since recently was last time was on the guide landing page. I added this here as well. It didn't used to be accessible directly from the landing page like the other reference designs. But yeah, I would love to get this one out. And I was wondering would it be helpful if we have a session, like something John's came up with or like to do, where we actually just pull up the page and read through it top to bottom. We take turns reading through it and we discuss things as we go and use that as a review.
I'm on board. I think I've already reviewed this page, so it would feel nice instead of doing another review like I've done before. It would be nice to discuss it. It's just a different context.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could do that. Hadn't occurred to me, but
yeah, like when you're forced to read top to bottom, you just look at it differently. When you actually have to read it out loud, you just notice things very differently, and you have conversations about things. So it is a helpful review method. So yeah, I'll just try to organize something for later this week, and then a lot of times you don't need 5 people, you don't need 10 people. Sometimes just 2 or 3 is enough. But yeah, we will just leave it open and see whoever wants to show up can show up. That would be super helpful. I'd appreciate that. Okay.
Christoph, would it be possible to add in to do that sort of a half an hour review on the Wallet Scrutiny case study and then a half an hour on that page? Or is half an hour too little?
Just depends. We can just try it.
Because I feel that might move the Wallet Scrutiny one live quicker as possible as well. If that's okay.
Yeah. You know how Bitcoin Core, they have PR review sessions where a whole bunch of people get together and review their code. This is kind of like that. But
yeah, we're becoming developers now.
Yeah, it could spiral out, I guess, if it's not close.
Let's make it happen. I'm down. I like reviewing things. Mo, how about we just start with one page? If there's time, we'll do the other one too. And if not, we'll schedule another call. And we can do one this week, one early next week, maybe.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, cool. Okay, then the other thing that I had here was so I don't know if you ever do this, but sometimes I'll go in and I'll look at our roadmap and all of the issues we have. Like we have some issues here from 2000. What's our earliest one? December 1, 2022 by myself. Revise external signers page and how it works. Just thinking about the things that people have logged, the things people had like to do, what we noticed, what has been discussed in the community, problems people currently face or try to work on, and just kind of think about how that could inform the guide moving forward. And so there are two things here. I feel like with issues that are over a year old where no one has done anything, I am wondering, should we just close them? Take a look at them and then decide. Like, this was just kind of a spurt of the moment idea. There's nothing there. There are other ones where we can probably consolidate. I think we have 5 or 6 issues that are about some design related thing, like tweaking the logo or changing a color here, like small stuff where we could just say, well, we bundle it up and just kind of turn it into one thing. Just consolidate and clean up all of this stuff, which is super not exciting. And I don't know, I do that at times here. And then the other big thing was, well, the other thing that came out of it is just trying to look forward. So in this document here, which I'll also just share, I posted it in what's it called as well. So that's where I copied the current page structure of the guide. And then I looked at all the issues and I tried to see where they would fit in. So with blue, I marked new pages to be added, orange, new content to existing pages, and purple stuff, revision of existing content. Just to kind of get an idea of, if we did all of this stuff that's in the issues, where would it go? Where would it likely to go? You'd only figure out the exact spot once you actually work through it, but this would be kind of a likelihood of things. And then there's couple of new things that I put on, like actually this is also one of the issues. Should we have an eCache wallet reference design? There's a bunch of stuff here, and that's where I think it would be interesting to get broad input from a lot more people. And if we notice things like something during Legends of Lightning that a bunch of designers were butting their head against this problem, can we turn that something into the guide? As a helpful page about best practices or so. And then out of that, we could kind of come up a little bit forward-looking for a rough plan for the next year. And potentially with the foundation existing now, there might also be opportunities around funding some of these things where it feels like there's a real big hole that would be awesome for someone to fill. So how do you think about this?
What's the question? So you're saying just to get a roadmap, like
pretty much. I'm curious. Well, the list how do you feel about the guide? Like, what are holes that are missing? What would you love to see more? More reference designs? Would you like to see more eCache? More details on Lightning stuff? Just more case studies about practical project integration work. Ordinals.
I can just tell my personal opinion. I don't know for what it's worth.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always curious. It always seemed like there was like issue, like, I don't know, for lack of a better word, like, cutting edge or on the fringe, or that I was like, I didn't find it in the guides. And maybe I don't like stuff with different like experimental protocols that are out there, like that RGB thing. And I don't know how some of it is not, it's not core Bitcoin as far as the community goes. It's not what people like. Maybe people think of it as fringe, like kind of like you're talking about ordinals or something like that. Not that I'm interested in ordinals, but things that are kind of Bitcoin tangential, like Noster, or there's this thing called like Web5 stuff, which is using Bitcoin as like just a place to roll their cryptography keys on. Just kind of like issues like that. I always spark my interest.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
I'm totally on board with that. So the way that I look at it, I think I mentioned it before. Let me know if you've heard that before. Is that there are like 4 different horizons or so. One of like the idea level, where people are just vaguely talking about technical ideas and potential improvement. Then there's the experimental stuff, where someone is kind of figuring something out. It doesn't really work yet. It's like you can't. I don't know, it's fun to talk about. Maybe a couple people have done some experiment or so. Then there's the maturing stuff, where okay, it's like lightning now. It's like it works. It's pretty solid, right? There's still stuff happening. Still, does only need to be rolled out. And then there's the stuff that's there right now, like a lot of Bitcoin stuff. Like we can make transactions, and there's still design work to do, and everyone uses it, right? And we've never really dabbled very much in the really forward-looking stuff or the kind of the experimental stuff. We've been more into the maturing and what's like accepted basically. But yeah, I think it would be really interesting to do more projection into the future, and it can be really fun too. There was someone did this thread on Twitter, which was since 2009, one wallet screenshot every year, and like something that's changed. You could take that and project it in the future, the next 10 years.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool. You mean what do you mean like one wallet? You mean like just a basic wallet? That's the functionality of a wallet changing?
It was always coupled with some new capability or technology, like the first multi-sig wallet or the first CoinJoin, or it wasn't just visual, but it's always related with the first Lightning wallet or so, like some type of almost like a step change in how it could be used. So if you project it forward, you also have to think about like what is not a completely fundamental, but something that kind of means a shift in how people would use this stuff. But yeah, I'd love the idea of more forward-looking stuff.
It would be fun. I mean, I guess it's not. You're right. If it's not too like accepted, it's just so much room to change. So you can't really get deep into like teach. You don't want to put too much time and effort into teaching people about it too much. But it's fun to speculate on, I guess, and for the idea layer.
I mean, in terms of how it could tie into the design guide or the design community as a whole, we could think of something that's kind of separate from the guide because it's not in that accepted state yet, or it's more forward looking, but having something like a playground or I don't know, a Bitcoin design dribble or something where you'd have a space for these kind of more experimental projects, design projects,
speculative fiction or something like that.
Design fiction, I like it. Sci-fi.
I like this idea, because Christoph is always posting in the random channel, and he's making these fun designs with like the whole Bitcoin thing that came up with Spiral now. There's so many of these fun designs that kind of just get lost in the threads of Discord. If there was actually a place where those screens could just be pulled into and then just have them in one place, it would serve as also design inspiration for other designers as well. I mean, as a simple start, just starting even with a Figma document and literally just going in and saving all the screens that are being put into the random channel is even a start. There's so many fun designs that have been created, and they all just disappear in Discord.
Yeah, someone asked on Twitter about this, something a little bit similar, screenshots of applications. I think that comes up there.
There's a PR that's open. I'm pretty sure of it, where I think Bosch created it. What could we have something in the Bitcoin design guide of all different screens of wallets?
It's an issue. Someone else, Tyler. Freddie, I think he asked about it on Twitter, and my response was, why not use Nostr? Nostr has these boards. There's an application called Pinster, and you could just tag it Bitcoin design or something, and then like we don't necessarily, for something like that, we don't necessarily have to come up with our own. Like it's kind of a community activity. But the let's say something like ordinals. It's a valid technical approach, right? So totally makes sense. It's using the technology as it was designed for something different than normal, I guess. So, and a lot of designers will come across this and have questions around it, and we can create informative content that just explains how it works and what's possible with it. Now, I do see that most of it that is done is just like silly, speculative little games, and that's a bunch of stuff that I don't necessarily think is very worthwhile. But that's almost like a separate thing, right? So I think with some of these topics, we can differentiate between, like, is this good information to know, to understand, and then what people make of it is something different, maybe. I don't know. And that would open the door a little bit to, uh, yeah, just more this exploratory tech where you just don't know how it, where it might lead. Exactly.
If I were to answer that question, sort of what would I like to see more of in the Bitcoin design guide, I would approach it from sort of two angles. The first angle would be, and I'm willing to take this on because it's not going to take more than an hour of my time, is to go into Discord, the Bitcoin design community Discord, and actually just copy and paste questions that people have asked. And then run those copied and pasted questions through AI. We can run it through ChatGPT and say, hey, ChatGPT, what are the most common questions that are being asked in Discord? And have a look and see if there's any content that might come up out of that as well. Because there has to be some questions that are coming up a few times that people are, which could reveal some holes in the guide that people maybe want to, I don't know more about or something like that. So
Yeah. In the newsletter, we have a whole asking questions or seeking feedback section. Yeah, another thing is actually going to all the wallet GitHubs and just seeing what they're working on, what's on their roadmaps, what's there in terms of issues and open power. There may be the same issue in all the wallet GitHubs with tons of discussions, with tons of comments. There could also be a little bit of research there.
Community Discord, and then the third one is the seeking feedback in the newsletter. All right. So I've got three sources. I have the wallet GitHubs, community Discord, and seeking feedback. So just pull in a bit of information from all three sources. Let's say over the last, I don't know how much it's going to be, but pull in some information and see what's coming up and run that through ChatGPT. I think I'll put it in Google document format so that it goes easier through ChatGPT.
Hey, Uti, go ahead.
Yeah. So I don't know if my network, my connection. Hey, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. So, yeah, on my end, like what I was saying, I would prefer to see. I don't know. There's kind of collection like screenshots and user flows that like they just live on their own. Mobbing.com. I don't know if it's mobbing or something screenshot, but I know mobbing. I know mobbing very well. But like if we had one that was just for maybe only for like Bitcoin flow or Bitcoin products without having to read maybe like case studies or so. Just like they all they know, just the screenshots. It could even be from the screenshots of the library. They're like I can see screenshots of like current applications, if not current applications, those that are already in the guides that are already shared, like email. So just like
Oh no, just disappeared.
The sound quality for me was not so good. I don't know if it was the same for everyone else.
I couldn't really hear.
It wasn't great. One thing I heard was again something about the screenshots from existing apps, but I was going to see if we can.
Yeah.
yeah, I'm back. Like my bandwidth is too small.
Yeah.
So I think option.
Okay, sorry, it was a bit hard to hear earlier. I heard something about what is it? Application screenshots again, but some of the other parts were just pretty hard to hear. Do you want to maybe write a quick message? I'd love to hear what you're looking for, or see it in written form in just one way or another.
You're muted, by the way.
Mm-hmm. Utube, do you maybe want to write down what you mentioned just in the chat on Discord on Jitsi so that we can read it?
Hello, can you hear me? I'm trying to write.
Yeah, now we can hear you.
We can hear
Yeah,
you.
I'm trying to write it.
Okay, cool.
And the second answer to that question was I wrote here how resources are used in the Bitcoin design, how resources are used. So in general, like how are community resources used? We have the wallet design that's being done by, oh, I forget. Goodness me, how can I forget his name? He's used quite a few of the resources.
Colin.
Colin, yes, Colin. Colin is someone I'd love to interview and put together a bit of a story of how he's used resources to build the wallet. It's something that I've had on my want to do for a long time now, and it would be great to speak to put some real studies in the guide of how resources are used and showcase that to other builders. Oh yeah, here's his.
Okay, what he's writing, a library of screenshots like mobbin.com, a combination of those produced by Bitcoin Design Guide and those of existing popular wallets. Yeah, it's that it's something I heard with the UI kit too. Some people they just want to see those screens and flows, and they don't like. Some people want to read the manual, which is kind of the guide, and then other people they just want to see the final output and just take that and base their own work on that. Yeah, I don't know. It's okay. How about we just come up with something like that? Let's put that on the list if that's helpful and give it a shot. We have a whole bunch of Figma files with tons of different screenshots. I'm sure I have like 150 screenshots of different applications. There's probably just some stuff to consider. Like when you post a screenshot of an application, you probably want to add which platform it is and which version of the application it is. So let's say they make changes to the application, then you kind of know that it might be outdated. So there's probably some detail there, but yeah, I mean, it just seems like this is something that anyone can contribute to very easily, and something like if there's like a Nostr solution or so, that might be easiest, and more open, most open. Might not be the most organized, but I don't know. Okay. Open.com.
Design inspiration board for Bitcoin.
Exactly, design inspiration board for Bitcoin. I love that. Just start with a Figma file and then take it from there. Let's see what happens.
Yeah. Okay. Now, I don't know if you want to create a Nostr. So if you look at pinster.app, that one already allows you to basically create boards and add images to them. You can also create video, text, profile boards, but this one would probably just be images. And then the question would be, can you make them collaborative, or can you simply create a folder or a tag? Like we all use the same Bitcoin design tag in our boards, and then they become discoverable. Yeah, but that's something like I think something like this, before you invest a lot of time building your own website, if you can just get it going with minimal effort and just see if just validate the idea, um, that's probably a good starting. That would be my starting point.
Yeah, agree.
Yeah, something other. I think there's some pages, some stuff that I think would be cool here. So the merchant section, which I feel like needs a champion, so in the guide, someone who just can really dig deep. Maybe someone who works on BTC Pay or has other experience and can just really create a dozen different pages or 5 or so, and just be really deep on that topic. I think that'd be cool. We have all these starts that just that fizzled out a bit. These 10 open issues. Inheritance wallet, that's what Michael's working on. Multi-wallet management, that's the PR we already talked about. eCash wallet. I think eCash is interesting. I think that's also, maybe it would be helpful if that's kind of built up over time. Maybe first by a how-to page, like how does eCash work, and then maybe dig into some of the unique UX flows. There's of course stuff that's just sending, receiving. Everyone has that, of course, but it's more like, how do you join a mint? How do you mint your eCash? How does that, stuff that you just don't see anywhere else? I think that would be interesting to dig into and document, and work with projects on improving that. I do know that I think it was Eric. I think Eric's working on eNuts and posted some designs, and I think I recognized some patterns we already have in the guide, and then some new ones. So I think that could be a cool one. I'd love to see that one. I'd love to see revisions of the upgradable and shared wallets, because those are still kind of wireframey. I'd like to see the fiat over Lightning, a how-to page, and how to deal with stablecoins. It does seem like there's a big push towards stablecoins on Lightning now, whether that's via Taproot assets or through a market mechanism like 1010 Finance came up with. I think that seems like there's interest and there's need and desire. Yeah, I think we have a bunch of stuff here laid out. I'd also love to see more case studies around different types of projects, and also more implementation of this stuff. I think it'd be cool if at some pages at the bottom it said, here are projects that have implemented this where you can try it.
That's the bit that I'd love to help to contribute with. Is I've had it now on my want to do for a while now, is to research, interview Colin and get his voice and how he worked on Airtel Wallet. And if we could get a few of those proof of works of how the guide's being used, it would be really nice. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been looking at the upgradable wallet page quite a few times, because it's something that will be this kind of implicit and inherent in kind of this whole, let's say, inheritance topic, because you might be, I mean, it's just basic change management, right? What if you change your wallet? How do you manage this kind of process? So that's these types of things, I think, I'll have to deal with them anyway. And also these archived wallets, right? I think that's also a major point, is if you change something, you will still be receiving, or you could theoretically just still receive to the same address, but you have to make sure to not throw away the keys to those wallets if you want to kind of spend that money, since we don't have kind of an auto forward mechanism, probably. So these kinds of things, that's pretty interesting.
And always an interesting question in that regard is, do you do research, come up with the content, and then try to work with projects on it, or you just work with projects, do the implementation, and then document what you did? How do you? It's probably different per content, per topic.
Yeah, probably usually I have to kind of, at least to a certain degree, have to make up my own mind before I can do something, to just scribble around and see how it could work. And but the rest, whether to start with implementation or whether to start with kind of the concept, is I probably wouldn't do either unless I have some idea of how it should be done.
Yeah. And then there's the thing too, that projects, you might want to really dive into this right now, but a project might have other priorities, might not get around to this specific thing until 3-6 months down the road. And you don't want to necessarily wait that long either.
Yeah.
Do you overall feel like, as a group, that the Bitcoin design website needs larger overhauls or changes or larger improvements?
I think it would be great to run the Bitcoin design guide past people who are, even just 3 people who are just a specific target group, and really just say, hey, you're searching on for this, you have this particular problem. We give them a problem. They're a designer, they're looking for a solution to a particular problem, and let them try to figure out the solution to their problem by using the guide. And let's actually see if they're able to find practical answers and how they go through that process. Just, I don't know where we would find these people. I'm thinking of designers who are entering into the Bitcoin design space. So I'm thinking of them in the terms of, in case, like when we interviewed people, they said, a lot of people said when we interviewed people about the guide, they said we use the Bitcoin design guide to onboard new designers to our team. So I would say, okay, if you were to onboard a new designer, you're coming from a non-Bitcoin space, you want to build a wallet, can you show me how you would figure out this problem? Show me how you would do that, and actually see where they go, how are they looking, how are they moving through the website itself. Are they going to the search bar? Are they going to the sidebar? Like, just kind of use a little bit of that to inform, like, and maybe, even just 3 people. I just need to find 3 designers, really. I mean, have a quick call with them, give them a problem, and get them to figure out the problem. I've given 2 tasks to myself here. I don't know. What do you think? What do you guys think? Should we put the guide in front of some people, some non-designers? I mean, designers, non-Bitcoin designers. Is that who we want to put the guide in front of? Is that even useful?
I mean, so it would be interesting to have it in a realistic scenario, in
Yes.
in a native environment, right?
Yes.
To test our subjects in their actual environment. So let's say we found some topics, some GitHub issues or so, where people are discussing, we want to improve this part of the site. We can just say, hey, we have some stuff about it in the guide. We'd love for you if you could take a look and see if you think this would be helpful, and then see what they come up with, right? For the specific thing, because their focus is on there right now. They're trying to work on this. And if they don't find it, we might still have, like, it's 50, 60 pages of content. It's easy to miss all kinds of things there.
Exactly.
Just use it as a conversation starter, potentially, instead of a separate setup in project. I don't know if that's realistic, if we can find that, but I think that'd be interesting. Like, weave it into actual collaborations and conversations.
Yeah, got you. I think that would come up because remember you mentioned look at the open issues on Wallet GitHubs. I could look at the open issues on the wallet GitHubs and actually see how that ties in. Those are practical things people are trying to solve right now. So
I've done that a few times, several conversations, like, oh, we have something in the guide. Check out over here.
yeah. What do you think of this? Okay, I got it. Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know about larger overhauls, but I've seen an issue about multi-language support, and I don't know, or I don't really have a feeling whether that's really needed, or whether, I mean, default is English anyway. But if we would want to do that, then we'd have I mean, we need people to translate stuff and a lot of content. So that could open up the audience.
I would also like to look at the information architecture of the Bitcoin design guide. So how the navigation is and where everything's placed under each heading, and see how intuitive that is. I have a slight nudgy feeling, like it came up a few times that certain sort of certain pages are not where people would traditionally look to find them. Like they wouldn't necessarily see. I think there was something with the projects as well, or something like that we use the word projects. So it's like I would almost. I'd like to look at the information architecture and see, like, is it actually intuitive, like where everything's placed.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
On the when I do go through the design guide website, I've been looking for something before and I found something, and then the next time I thought I could find it again and I haven't. So there has been a couple like paths that I've gotten lost going down it, just as a little personal aside. So I'd be curious to like really study it.
There's actually it's a fun exercise I've always wanted to try. Don't mind me. There's a fun sorting exercise that you can do with sticky notes, where you take all of the sections, the pages in the guide, and then you actually intuitively as a group start to see, like, which topic area do you think this intuitively fits in, and start as a group to sort of form that information architecture together. It's sort of a sorting process that's done together very collaboratively, as opposed to one person just thinking about how the information architecture would look. It's a fun exercise in UX. I've never done it before, but I'm very keen on doing something like that. It's play. It's play. Oh, Christoph is showing something here. Oh.
You mean card sorting, right?
Card sorting, yeah.
Like group card sorting or something like that.
Group card sorting to figure out the information architecture. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think there are pretty good online tools as well to facilitate these kinds of exercises.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll be the under on that one. That doesn't mean it should be blocking anyone. I find these two removed from the actual end user experience to be really very helpful.
Okay.
Because like once you actually design something for mobile and you have to put it in a structure that's easily navigatable and tappable, that works within like certain hierarchy and all this stuff, it's like there's such a huge difference between like moving cards on some screens to the final thing. Where I know I personally have not. I mean, it'd be awesome if you could convince me otherwise. Totally open for it. But personally, I've not found them to be very practically.
I would have a quick
helpful.
question about the guide itself. It's because it's a kind of like it's constantly getting added to. That the information architecture, it's hard, it will need to be revised at some point, correct?
Yeah.
Or
We've done that a couple times. At the very beginning, we basically just had the very beginning we had a big Google Doc where people just wrote down ideas of stuff that might be good to have, and then it was loosely grouped into like a skeleton, and then people said, I want to work on this page, and I want to work on that page. They kind of worked independently, and then we had all this content, and then we kind of had to piece it together. And what you see right now is around the idea of where you kind of have the getting started, which is for designers, then why Bitcoin, designing Bitcoin products, which is for and then the reference designs and the case studies and how it works. That is already, I don't know, the second or the third revision of the architecture of all of this stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's in great shape. I'm not saying there's a problem with it. I just. But.
How would you approach it, Christoph? How did you guys approach it in the past with this sort of restructuring the information architecture? What processes sort of helped to think through that?
I mean, the one that we have right now came out of a need. Like we had all these separate pages. We had like a send page. It was really generic, and we had a receive page. It was really generic. And it was hard to design specific things without the idea of a reference design, because a reference design narrows in on a very specific product. And when you specifically design, these are the people I'm designing for, this is the product, these are the requirements, then you can make really detailed design decisions, right? Because you kind of have this red thread that needs to go through everything. So that's why the reference designs I think that still works. The downside of it is that, well, we have send and receive very detailed in the daily spending wallet, which is Lightning. Are we going to have a separate send and receive in an on-chain wallet that just skips the Lightning stuff and is like a limited version of the other one? Like, you end up, if you really want to do that, you end up with duplicating tons of different content. So, every structure has its advantages and disadvantages, and you just kind of have to pick. Like, you have to accept the disadvantage. There'll always be something that's hard to find because you have to prioritize something else. It's just like any structure has that, right? And search is something that's often like the thing that cuts across everything. Just let me type in a word, show me the thing, give me your best guess. So yeah, it's
the card sorting. I get your feeling on that. It's quite far removed from the actual user experience navigating themselves. I'm sure that there's other ways that are a bit more hands-on. It feels like there's different ways of solving this. Like, I will do some Googling. I will do some Googling on how people solve information architecture and how they like. There must be alternatives than card sorting.
Yeah, but I mean, if we don't have a problem, I think the recently the when we made changes in the structure, it was because the current structure clearly fell apart. It clearly didn't work anymore, right? It was just like, we don't know where to put things. We were bickering about where to put stuff all the time, and we're not happy with the buckets that we have. And then it was like, okay, well, clearly we need to change something. Yeah.
Mo, I don't know if it's about like the users of the site. We could try some tree testing to verify if we need the card sorting. Just like ask a particular user, find a particular topic, and then you could do that over 3 times or 4 times, and you'll be able to see like if you're able to get to it before we can decide on going to the activity and we sort everything again. Was that audible?
I'm sorry, it's still pretty hard to hear you. I do see your comments in there, but the audio is still a bit hard to hear.
Okay, I was Googling what UTB said. He said to use tree testing. So tree testing is a fast and powerful means to test the navigation of your website or app. So basically, you test the current structure. A tree test is a type of UX architecture testing used to evaluate a proposed site structure by asking users to find items based on the website's organization and technology. So basically, you say to users, hey, go find this, or hey, go find that. So it's just a simple sort of five-minute test to see if they can find the stuff that they're looking for. Okay.
Yeah, we did that a couple of times in the past when I worked at Swisscom, because there were a ton of links in the navigation and stuff. But yeah, you have to have a specific use case that you want to test. And in our case, we would have probably different ones, and then you probably get to the point where you say, okay, for these people, it works actually pretty well for that use case, and then for the other one, so it's the same thing as with card sorting, right? I mean, probably we'd need to do some combination of things. But yeah, tree testing, I think it worked pretty well. But as I said, we had to give people a very, specific use case or scenario.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah,
into it.
I mean, generally, you have different ways of browsing a website. Some people they will come to here, and we have this overview page that has tons of links in there, and it summarizes the different sections. And they're it's like reading a book, I guess. I'm looking at the different chapters and the table of contents and whatnot. I'm discovering as I go. Then the tree sorting stuff, that's like, okay, I'm only looking at the sidebar. The sidebar is all I have. I'm only looking at page titles, and that's my narrow focus. Then you have search, which is this broad open thing. And the other thing you have is I Google and I come across this page, and I end up somewhere deep 3 pages in on something, and I find it helpful, and I want to see, well, cool, let me read more. And that's where all this cross-linking and pagination and all of stuff. Like there are just these different behaviors that you kind of need to look into, keep in mind with all of this stuff.
I think.
Sorry.
Sorry, I know you want to wrap it up. I think what Christoph is trying to say is that there's so many different entry points to approach the information architecture. There's one where the person is using the search bar. There's another where the person lands on the website blind.
Mm-hmm.
And there's another one where the person is actually using the sidebar. So to get a full overview of how to improve the information architecture, you cannot just approach it from one entry point, because then you're not getting the full idea of what is needed within the information architecture. So that's kind of what is coming through from what I'm hearing.
Yeah, and you can imagine different type of users. Let's say I'm working on a Lightning wallet, and I end up here, right? And I'm going to scan the screen, this page. I'm like, okay, cool. Oh, okay, here's something about sending. This is what I'm working on. And then they just kind of go through here, right? So there's just different ways to discover content, and like mental entry points. They might be very detailed. They might be very broad. Sometimes people don't know what they're looking for, and they're just kind of clicking through and seeing what happens. I find it's a super hard thing to evaluate with a single technique.
Yeah.
No, and I don't think it's possible.
No,
that's
I
what
love
I was
that.
trying to say.
That whole understanding the information architecture from now, what I understand is you would almost have to use 3 different approaches to come up with the actual solution. Because if you only use one, it's just too narrow. It's just way too narrow. Yeah. Okay. Got it. All right.
Cool. Daniel just joined. Yes, search. We don't have any analytics. That might also be a quick shortcut, but we don't have any. So, okay. But that's okay. We'll have to live with that. Okay, cool. But I mean, it sounds like there's interest in looking into that, but there's nothing glaring where everyone says like, yeah, it's just not working. I can't find anything myself, or I've seen people stumble over things.
I think it hasn't come up as being a clear, like it's not an issue.
Yeah.
Like as Chris said, it's not like we've had people come to us and say, I can't find so many things in the design guide. Like I'm confused.
Yeah.
Like I think if we do the research by searching the wallet GitHubs, by searching community Discord, and by searching the seeking feedback in the newsletter, and we see that there's a lot of commonality and trend coming up in people asking questions in the Discord and not being able versus finding that in the guide, then we know, well, they're not able to find. So it feels like the information architecture is kind of like, it's not really super priority, because if that comes up from the research, then maybe it's something to look more into.
Yeah, I get. Yeah, like you're saying, it's generally good to have conversations and learn how people use this thing, and then let the actionable items crystallize from those learnings.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Don't fix it if it's not broken.
Yeah, it's also interesting. Recently, I posted.
But you don't know if it's not broken.
That's such a good question. We don't know if it's not broken, but we will know, because I'm going to go to the wallet GitHubs, I'm going to go to community Discord, and I'm going to go to the newsletter. I'm going to collect all the information, and I'm going to see if people are asking questions about things that they could actually be looking for in the guide.
Yeah, and I also have the hunch that there's a lot of stuff in the guide that people don't even know that's there. And like sometimes I post stuff on Twitter or so. Like recently, this thing about showing addresses really big, which has been there in the guide for half a year. I just put it in this Drake format template, and it just got a ton of reactions. People loved it. I'm like, we already discussed this like half a year ago, but it's fine, right? It's not like I don't know all the pages on the internet about Bitcoin and stuff. Like I think highlighting stuff on social media and in conversations and in GitHub issues and bringing them up in conversations is a really big thing to bring awareness contextually to everything that we've already come up with.
Yeah. Good conversation. I like, Michael, what you said. You said, I said, don't fix it if it's not broken. And Michael, you said, we don't know if it's broken. This is such a philosophical thing in UX. Oh, I love it. Okay, I'll stop talking. Otherwise, we won't end the call.
I was going to comment on almost the same thing. Like, don't fix it until you know what is broken.
Don't fix it until you don't know what's broken. Conversation between 3 UX designers. Don't fix it if it's not broken. The other UX designer says, we don't know if it's broken. And what did you say, Daniel? What was the last one?
I mean, it's very similar. It's like sending your car to the garage without knowing what's broken. And they say, yeah, we fixed it. But, you know, who knows if they fixed that problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to just say we changed something.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Don't fix it if it's not broken. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is this was a kind of a conversation that was all over different places and all of the stuff, but I think that's a good thing to have sometimes, especially if we think about the future editions over the next half year or year or so. We can explore, we can be a bit goofy, we can dream up crazy ideas, and something will manifest. It's kind of a roadmap. Okay, Uti says it's not broken. Awesome.
Cool. So let's not fix it.
Let's not fix it, or let's invite people to break it. There we go.
Okay.
All right.
Before we sign off, Mo, can you send me that link to the wallet scrutiny case study?
Sure thing. Yeah, I'll send you a message on Discord straight after we do this call. All right.
Awesome. I'm going to stop the recording. If anyone watches this on YouTube here, well, thank you. I'm very surprised you made it this far, but that's awesome. Thanks for tuning in.